I work at T-Mobile and my position is Agentic AI Product Manager.
How much do you make annually?
Around 120 to 150,000 dollars.
Can you give me a breakdown of your monthly expenses and savings in the US?
I think my living expenses, which include rent, food, and everything, come under 3,000 per month. Around 50%, I would say, a month.
You're able to say.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing. 200k in the US or 40 lakhs in India? Which one would you prefer and why?
200k in the US.
Why? Where are you from?
I'm from India, but I've grown up in Oman.
How long have you been in the US?
I came here 3 years ago. I pursued Masters in Information Systems Management in Carnegie Mellon University.
Why did you choose US over other countries?
Like, firstly, I was a huge AI and ML fanatic, so I tried to check where's the best tech opportunities I could get. I think back in 2022, 2023, it was a little bit more easier to decide. Although, like, Singapore and some European countries had great universities, but pure, I think, in terms of opportunities, whether job or startup, I think everyone suggested, and even just the sheer amount of research I did, I found US to be the most valuable. Also, I spoke to you.
Yeah. What is one thing you did during your masters in the US that helped you succeed?
Networking is something which I started doing even before coming to the US a little bit. At least from job perspective, I wanted to transition from AI engineering to AI product management. So I kind of already spoke to my alums and kind of figured out that it's not going to be very easy to crack an AI PM internship role, especially when I have zero PM experience. It's very important to not just reach out to them on LinkedIn, but also I think I maintained some relationships really well. Apart from that, being very flexible is something which is very underrated, because even though I might have come with the mindset that, hey, I want to crack product manager roles, I was always open for ML internships, and in the end I did get a couple of ML internships as well. I knew that I wanted to do product, but I could always switch to product later as well. But it's more important to first get some good experience, and not always be very idealistic about that. So I think being flexible, being open to learning, open to networking other people, and just being super proactive to ensure that you're at the right time for the right set of opportunities at the right place.
And what is one thing you regret not doing during your master's experience in the US?
Probably I should have enjoyed a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because I think like CMU is academically very rigorous, and I spent a lot of time initially just trying to figure out the academics, the courses, and obviously the internships and everything. I should have enjoyed more, I feel, in the college, participate in more extracurricular activities.
Why did you choose product manager position over a ML engineer position, which was also one of the most targeted ones for everyone?
I used to be a core AI researcher. I used to work on publishing papers, patents, and I was working as an AI engineer for 1 year at Intel. I found that process to be quite monotonous. So back in the day, ML engineering was more like, okay, you have the data set, you have to clean those data sets. Each company used to train their own models, and unlike today, we just use more or less OpenAI, Anthropic, or Google, or the Chinese models. Just that process of doing this felt a little bit monotonous, and I was more interested in like entrepreneurship. I felt that I could communicate very well. So I started speaking to product managers. I didn't even know product manager role existed, because I had like never interacted with as I was in a research lab. During my notice period, I spoke to a lot of product managers at Intel. Just tried to figure out that if it's the right career. I had already built a decent enough profile in ML. So if I had pursued ML internships and jobs in the US from the get-go, I might have gotten it much more easier relatively, but just wanted to figure out by speaking to people, it's worth it. And I feel from the kind of conversations I had, I really enjoyed the work which was done. So yeah, I just took that leap of faith, I guess.
Makes sense. How did you get 3 internship offers in the US?
Yes, I came in 2023 August. It was a 3-semester course. So first semester I could get only 2 interviews for internship. This was me just saying to myself that I will give myself a rope for just PM interviews. I did not apply to ML for the first semester. I think that was a mistake which I corrected later. Got 2 interviews, went till the final round of one of them, and then early like Jan or Feb of my second semester, I had those heartbreaks when I couldn't convert. One of them was NVIDIA, and that was a great opportunity because it was in their autonomous vehicles team. And all my research in India was in autonomous vehicles as well. Anyway, so that passed away, and then I had like effectively 3 to 4 months, because in May typically internships start.
Yes.
So Feb to let's say April period to kind of get roles, and I was also getting like panic attacks during that time, because it was very difficult for me to recover from these couple of these things. And then I was like, PM is clearly very difficult. So I got back to this drawing board, started preparing for ML again. I landed 3 internships in the US. All the 3 ways potentially you can land internships. Number 1 was career fair. Career fairs do work. I think people say career fairs don't. I was also believing that, but trust me, I got one ML internship through a private equity firm in New York who were hiring an ML intern for their cybersecurity team. What I did very well was, even did not have resume with me because it was the fag end of the day, so I already gave him my resume. What I had, some of the videos of my past papers or patents showed him that. That was memorable. He actually got me interview with directly the MD of the company.
Nice.
And that converted. The second way was pure cold outreach. There was a startup based out of New York again. I had a portfolio for especially ML roles, and I just sent a link to him of that, and they specially opened an ML internship just for me. So they officially were not hiring. Third was more traditional way of getting an application plus cold mailing. It's a very interesting story. So I had applied for software engineering internship at the Trade Desk, and I got that interview.
Yeah.
But I had also applied for product manager internship at the Trade Desk. But the interview for software engineering internship arrived before. And before going through that interview process, I just emailed the recruiter, assuming that she might be the same, that, hey, I had also applied for the PM internship interview. If you can please review that application. I don't want to continue into this. Otherwise, I am happy to even apply for this or continue the process. And she gave me a very generic role. She was like, yeah, we will review in 3 weeks or whatever. And I was like, okay. Surprisingly, after 3 weeks, I get an interview for product manager internship from the same recruiter, and that was my only product manager offer that I got, and that changed my life.
So you chose the Trade Desk over other companies?
Other companies, yes, because number 1, they were paying more. Number 2, it was PM internship. So that was again a decision that whether to continue my ML path. I did more than 100 mock interviews for product just through that community itself. I was like, I have worked super hard. I want to try. I know it could be risky. But dude, I've come here. I've spent so much money and efforts and my parents' time and everything. Let's just try it. So I chose that offer, which was a PM internship. Worked super hard. Came to Seattle during the summer. Got a return offer. So my last semester, I was just enjoying at CMU. So that is again...
Even still, enjoyment was not enough.
So last year, February, I joined this company, and 6 months, 7 months post that, I got laid off. The company wasn't doing that well. There was some conflicts. And then I had read such posts on LinkedIn that, hey, I got on a call and then I was laid off. But this is something which happened with me. It was like a random Monday morning.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a regular one-on-one with my manager. Just became a nightmare when she comes and then, 30 seconds, like, sorry, we are letting you go, whatever. And then after that, she leaves and the recruiter takes over. So, I mean, it was very interesting how I experienced that. And then after that, interestingly, normally companies do put you on some sort of a payroll so that at least your clock stops. They did not put me on that. So literally that was like my first day of unemployment technically.
Damn. So on that day itself, they basically put you off the payroll.
Yeah, the clock started, which was not fair in my opinion. But anyways, so they paid me some severance, but still did not put me on that clock, at least that started same day. And then I was also going through some personal issues back in my family during that time. So it was like very demotivating.
What were the steps that you followed once you were laid off from Trade Desk?
First week, I paused the clock. I started working with the professor part-time.
Okay, so within first week itself, you've reached out to professors and found an opportunity and wanted to do like research with them.
Correct.
So you got on a payroll basically from that.
Correct.
Okay, amazing.
That happened first week, and then obviously I hadn't...
That's very fast though. Within first week, you were able to do that. That's impressive.
Yeah, like it's very interesting. At one stage, you also are emotionally processing it, but at the same time, that things move fast in the US, so you can't just lie on your bed just thinking about it. It's not the best scenario to again modify a resume, again get into that interview prep rhythm is a little bit difficult. But anyways, week 2 modified my resume, got into that application zone at least, if not interview prep. And number 1 thing, I created a huge networking database of my own or an Excel sheet, because one thing from my experience, I knew that in the 90 days, if I had to find a job, number 1, I knew so many people who didn't unfortunately have a PM job even 1 year after they graduated from a college. So I was like, in 90 days, can I get another job? That to a PM. So I started lead coding parallelly. Also, I started reaching out. So I knew that if I had to get it, had to be through networking. Cold applications alone wouldn't help this cause. And then I think I was very fortunate that I had met this guy in a bar who was from T-Mobile a few months ago. So he was a good friend, and I saw T-Mobile opening. And I reached out to him, and then I just emailed hiring manager. I used to email hiring managers of other companies also, but obviously the return to response is obviously not that great. It is relatively less, but still you just need one job. So
Yeah,
I got
exactly.
that interview, and it's like once you get that interview, so I think in week 3 my first interview of T-Mobile was scheduled. So then start getting motivated. You start preparing that, okay, now I have to do my behavioral because I have a recruiter call. So at least there is some reason for you to, otherwise you're just lazy. So that I did, and then I think there were 6 rounds. So for each interview was around week apart. So 6 weeks of just interviewing. Had to upskill myself a lot. Even though I had previous ML experience, you would know this, right? Like you have to upskill so much because those ML experience from 2023 and in 2025 things have changed so much that it's
Yes.
technically like obsolete. So I had to upskill a lot of the things which I previously spoke about, even to understand what are the different kinds of memory learning loops. Like there are a ton of these things you need to do. So I just uploaded my resume to GPT, uploaded the hiring manager profile, uploaded the job description, and really started grilling, ask GPT to grill myself down. Claude wasn't great that time, and then it started identifying those gaps in your resume. Hey, you have mentioned you saved $5 million. How is it possible? Just explain that. So there are a lot of things which you write in your resume, which could be true. It's not that it's false, but it's like how you explain it to someone. The real interview is very important.
Yeah. So you basically practice for the project deep dive section, like fully grilled yourself through AI and
Through AI, and also parallelly that Slack community I mentioned, did my mock interviews, was in touch with couple of people from T-Mobile who might have gone through similar experiences. So I think that, and then parallelly I was applying to other places as well, got some other interviews, and this went for 6-7 weeks. And then I think within 40 days I was able to land this role.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's what I also recommend people is like once they get an interview, they just stop. They're like, okay, now we'll just prepare for the interview and will not apply.
Yeah.
But I think until you get an offer,
Correct.
basically you have to keep on applying. You cannot
Yeah.
miss that part.
Yeah. Like I know this friend of mine who got in at least 6 final interviews of 6 different companies, and at least 4 of them were rescinded. So it's like even after they got the offer, they cancelled. Why? Because that 100K rule was very active that time. So it's very important for you to communicate your visa sponsorship. I was on OPT, but I had still 28 months of my of employment remaining without authorization. So I used to write that in those emails when I used to reach out, because a lot of times your hiring managers, your recruiters are not aware of it. Even if they have these huge immigration teams,
Yeah.
they're simply not aware.
Yeah.
So communicating that upfront proactively and not assuming that they know is very important.
Amazing. I fully agree with that. Where do you currently work and what is your position?
I work at T-Mobile and my position is Agentic AI Product Manager.
And how much do you make annually?
I would say around 120 to 150,000 dollars.
Can you give me a breakdown of your monthly expenses and savings in the US?
I think my living expenses, which include rent, food and everything, come to like 2,500 per month, and then maybe miscellaneous. So I think everything under 3,000 per month.
So you're able to save around 50-60% of your income?
Yeah, around 50% I would say a month.
You're able to save.
Yeah.
How did you land AIPM role at T-Mobile?
Number one, I try to create like this huge network map. Who are the people I know? Who are the people these people know, and where do these people work? So at these huge like database. And number two, whenever I was applying, I always ensured that I tried to be in the balance of scaling as in number of applications, but also quality, because I believe you have to do both. So I did slightly both. Let's say if I would apply to 20 roles, out of that I would select maybe 8 to 10 who actually deserve my time and my effort to modify resume. Now obviously this is, I'm talking about in August when Claude wasn't as good.
Yeah.
When GPT models weren't as great. So now you could automate it potentially. But back then I did it manually, and then finding hiring managers, recruiters for those 8 to 10 companies I've shortlisted every day, and just send out a 3-line note. That's how I stumbled upon T-Mobile. So I knew a friend who worked at T-Mobile, but I didn't ask for referral because I think referrals are hugely overrated. I just reached out to him. I got somehow the name of the hiring manager and I emailed her. and she was kind enough to forward me to the recruiter and get some interview scheduled, and that's how I got the interview scheduled, and then I got in.
I think this is one of the key things because a lot of people just focus on applying or they just focus on reaching out to very few folks. You have to do both.
Correct.
And the targeted reach outs is extremely important because that is what is going to get you distribution or like that visibility in front of the hiring manager once you apply or to the recruiter.
Yeah.
And the people that I work with who I help like landing AIML jobs in the US, I also suggest the same approach.
Yeah.
And with that, like they have definitely seen success. So I totally agree with that. What were the other companies that you gave interview for?
There were a few YC startups I had given. Couple of them couldn't work out because last year around that there was this 100K rule, and that froze a lot of the international hiring at least. So that was really disruptive. So those couple of things couldn't work out. So effectively this was one of my biggest shots of being in the US, and every interview felt like, you know, like a visa interview process that if it goes well you're in, otherwise bye. So that was the unfortunate thing, but I'm glad I could surpass all these interviews.
I actually had one more follow-up on the first thing that you mentioned for how did you land the job at T-Mobile. So that database that you had created, was it in a Excel, was it in a spreadsheet? Like how were you able to map those contacts? What was that process like?
Yeah, sure. So it was an Excel sheet, but the process was very simple. So in my previous company, I had built a lot of contacts, and some of those people, it's not just about building contacts, it's about what is the depth of these contacts, you know. Because for some of them, I actually had met their families, or I had actually understood his brother is in XYZ company. I had done some good amount of networking there. So I had all the people top of my mind, and there are people who had actually passed out of universities, whether it's alums or switched their jobs from my previous company, LinkedIn. So I think I've been accumulating some contacts since coming to the US and slightly before. So just like mapping out, there would be around, let's say, maybe 100 names on that list. But the harsh reality is that the most useful ones or resourceful ones are 10 to 20 at the end of the day, whom you know, okay, from Microsoft, I have these 2-3 people. So I think at the end of the day, you kind of 2 to 3 names for at least the top companies. I think it's not even Mang, right? It's Mango. So that's the best case scenario. My theory is referrals are overrated. It has always been the case even for internships. So during internships, I got 20 interviews. Only one was through referral. Okay. So that belief is very, very solid. So in that case, I don't even waste time in reaching out unless and until I know that person very well, and I know that they are at a certain position, and I know that they can give me the referral quickly. Only then I'll reach out to them. Otherwise, I'll quickly just go ahead and apply. And my focus is more on post-application networking.
Makes sense.
You apply and then you get all the details around, okay, these are the recruiters. These could be the potential hiring managers. You just get them somehow and then you reach out to them.
Makes sense. So you basically had a Google sheet where you tracked all those contact names and you put their titles and like which companies they are working for, and you just maintained that.
Correct.
And I agree with that approach. In terms of referrals, what I feel is like you should have a timer. Let's say an opening is there. Reach out to 5-10 people of that company for the referral. Set a timer. If within 1 to 2 days they're not getting back, apply, and then reach out to the hiring managers and other things.
So the interesting thing is the role I applied for at T-Mobile, the next day they closed. So I would say in this, like, just wait for maybe 4-5 hours, because I think market right now is much better than 6 months ago. But it's just that these companies, as soon as they open, they get thousands of resumes, so they are sometimes very scared to have it. Again, it depends. Some companies use ATS, so it depends from company to company. But the suggestion would be, if you can get the referral same day itself, because I have lost a lot of opportunities. So that could be one regret. Maybe going back to your earlier question, that in during college or even after college, you know, there are some of these dream companies, and then they literally, I find out that, oh, by night they have even closed. Or by next day they have closed. So I mean, just be like very, very sure, but don't bank on it 100% because people get busy. Always be ready to apply without it.
I think I agree, especially for internships and entry-level roles.
Yes.
That's the situation. But for mid to senior or others, I think it's fine to like wait 2-3 days, get a referral. If not, apply.
Yeah. Also, one thing I've understood being around recruiters and the hiring circuit is that almost everyone has access to referrals. Because referrals is no longer exclusive. I think in recent, there are so many websites where you get paid to refer people.
Yeah.
So I think you have to be really very, very mindful of the quality of that referral.
I agree.
As an example, if you're applying for an APM role at Google, you getting a referral from a PM versus a director of product. Let's say if the role is in YouTube, if you can get from someone at YouTube versus even if you get a director at, let's say, Maps or some other org, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
So always be very, very mindful of which team is it for, because some of them do centralized hiring also. Like Google, Meta mostly do centralized hiring. They don't mention teams very much upfront. But Nvidia and a lot of companies, they mention teams in their job descriptions.
Yeah.
So you have to be very, very smart on what kind of people you reach out to, and don't waste much time if they are not around those teams, because I have gotten a lot of the responses by random people when I reach out to them after applying, and because they are directly in that company. Even if you have friends, they might be at different teams.
Yeah.
So be very smart.
What was the interview process for an AIPM role at T-Mobile?
I think there were 6 rounds. So for each interview was around a week apart. So 6 weeks of just interviewing. Again, these change, so don't quote me, but it's basically this is how it happened during my time. In recruiter round, hiring manager round, then I had 3 to 4 loop interviews where one of them was testing my product design. One of the interviews was completely like AI system design, and the other was completely like technical, and then the final 6th interview was with the director. That was more like a value check. So one thing I noticed is that the number of behavioral interviews have drastically reduced. Like I could count the number of behavioral interview questions asked by them or even some other companies I interviewed. It was less than like 5 or 6 throughout those interviews, because I think they've started understanding that behavioral interviews can be gamed. I feel, especially with the kind of interview prep resources you have, the answers are getting very similar. Like especially Amazon behavioral principles, everyone is kind of aware of, which is a very common route, or there are other interviews. So I think what I have seen is a lot of it focused on problem solving on the go. So there were a lot of these questions asked, like a simple question: how do you prioritize model accuracy versus model latency? It's not that simple question, but you also have to give a reasoning, because it depends from business to business, situation to situation, right? Everywhere you don't need a Fable level model. Haiku model also will work in some scenarios. So what I've understood is that you can't fake on resume. You can fake, right? The buzzwords. It's get difficult to fake your knowledge in interviews, because they are, I think, starting to test the depth of your knowledge. Here, obviously, some of my AI background helps. Obviously, you don't need to really learn how these models are trained or whatever. Not if maybe as a PM you don't need that level, but if you can get that, is amazing. But what I would suggest is definitely understand the different layers of any AI product, model, memory, how evals. So I think you have to kind of understand and tear down some of these products. Just do a ChatGPT tear down. It's very complex. Like even it looks like a simple chatbot, it's a very, very complex process, and how these people have developed it. So I think just trying to understand the product side and the technical side of it, I think the expectations have gone much higher.
Got it. So one thing that you mentioned previously regarding the interview process is like it's getting more technical for AIPM. I feel it's the opposite for MLE roles. It's getting more on the behavior side, more focus on communication, more focus on sharing about the actual projects that you have done, talking in depth about those things versus like just checking the technical knowledge. Because technical knowledge is something you can get also from the AI, right? So basically what is happening is everything is moving towards like becoming more general. Like AIPM, they want you to expect to have like implementation skills, versus MLE roles or like other software engineering roles, they want you to expect to have more of the communication, leading the product and all those sort of things as well.
That's very interesting, because I think at the end of the day now the question of how is gone, how to code, how to build. It's just what to build. And also obviously why to build. And so I think there are a lot of these roles like product builder. So LinkedIn hired their product builders. They used to hire APM. So I think the shift is clearly visible, and this
Yeah.
is great to know, as you
Yeah.
said as well.
Can you give me 2 to 3 resources to prepare for each of these like different rounds,
Yeah.
especially for the AIPM role?
So, behavioral and product design,
Hmm.
100% suggest Lewis Lynn's Slack community.
Okay.
So, I think I have spoken a lot about it in my own LinkedIn and my platforms. Lewis Lynn is like a bestseller for product management. He has this Slack community which more than 20,000 people, and they keep interviewing. Basically, you're mock interviewing with people from Amazon, Waymo, Google. So it's a great opportunity for you to not just learn but to network. Just imagine you're like doing a mock interview with like a staff PM at Google. The wealth of experience they can share from their background as a hiring manager would be unmatched. For AI system design, I think Akash Gupta is a great resource. I think his newsletter is amazing. I also did a video with him on YouTube,
Okay.
so you can check that out. But
Nice.
I think newsletter was very helpful. Also for AI evals, I think there is this person called Hamel. We can share the link. He really breaks down the different kinds of AI matrix clearly. So I would suggest these people and Andre Karpathy for getting your basics to LLM and ML models right.
Yeah. Was it worth it moving to the US?
That's a very deep question. I would say from a professional perspective, yes. I think the kind of opportunities I got here, like also being the opportunity to be at the bleeding edge of tech, especially at the West Coast, and the kind of work which I'm doing with my company as well. That's great, the kind of people I've met. So I would definitely say, I think professionally it's 100% worth it for me so far.
I know, like you just mentioned professionally. So what about overall? Was it worth it?
So I've been to the US since only 3 years, and I've worked, let's say, 1 to 1.5 years. So I might be a little bit earlier when I say it. But so far it looks fine, but there have always been, some visa restrictions, travel restrictions. So maybe in the long term, I might have a different answer, because again, it depends. Like I don't have any family here, like majority, I guess. So in the long term, the answer might change.
Yeah.
But so far, I feel it's worth it, because I think my priority right now is more career. So that's why I would say. But if my priorities shift in the future, then my answer might differ.
Have you faced any immigration challenges in the US so far?
I think like probably a lot of people, major challenges have been more around H1B uncertainty, international travel uncertainty, and last year the 100K uncertainty was there, like when I got laid off. So I think there have been a lot of challenges, I would say.
But I'm glad that you are able to overcome a lot of them, and luckily like you're on the path of moving forward with your immigration journey in the
Yeah,
US.
Yes.
200K in the US or 40 lakhs in India? Which one would you prefer and why?
200K in the US.
Why?
Because you save much more. Like that's simple math. Let's say if I was earning 200K, I would easily say, again, it depends from city to city. I'm single. I stay in a 2-bedroom apartment. I share it with someone. So considering all that, I think I would save at least 80K, which is like around 70 to 80 lakhs in Indian rupees. So just from that sheer amount, I would definitely choose this. There are a lot of other factors like
Yes.
families. I think pure money perspective this.
Yeah.
But if you start considering so many other factors, then things might change.
Yeah, so that's the whole point of the question. Like, what would you prefer in your situation?
I think in this phase of my life, I would prefer 200K over here, just because of the amount of opportunities I'm able to get in this phase right now, as I'm purely like focused on building a career.
If someone is about to move to the US in 2026, 2027, what is one advice you would give them?
Be very, very sure of what you want to achieve. Like be very risk averse. Like I would say, just know that anything and everything could go wrong. So just think very practically that, okay, this is the kind of skill sets I have, this is the kind of experience I have, this is what I bring to the table, and this is the kind of financial privilege or struggles or whatever it is I come with. So even if things go wrong, even if let's say I'm not able to get a job, I've seen people from Stanford, CMU having hardship finding a job, either switch to other set of opportunity. That's why I said flexibility. So be very open-minded. I know a lot of people who come for like product management, and 1 year on their first OPT they try and they then just go back, which is, I think, honestly, it's not very smart. The world is changing every day, with all these AI models. I think humans also have to evolve quickly, become technical. Like, sure, a lot of people might not have that experience, but 1 to 2 months of lead code and, just using Notebook LLM for learning, and like there are a bunch of other tools you can optimize. So I would just say, get whatever you can. Obviously, try to get it in AI space or tech space, but don't be very sticky to that particular one thing, because otherwise then things will be more difficult for you, I would say.
Yeah, makes sense. What is your goal for next 3 to 5 years?
I'm really into entrepreneurship. So I think I've been trying few things here and there. So I think one of my goals will be definitely to have something of my own, build that preferably in a city like San Francisco. On the professional side, I think I'm also really enjoying my work as a product manager. So go to the next stage in terms of role, as well as be part of more AI native team or an AI native org, and just try to lead the next set of AI advancements.